just started coming out of the woodwork. They were everywhere.
I'm thinking demons, you know. My house is demon-possessed.
You feel constantly like your skin is crawling. This was a living nightmare for us. We lost everything.
I was done at that point.
3 different families fighting 3 different infestations. Home is a sanctuary, but invaders don't respect boundaries. Our 4 walls provide all they need to survive, to thrive, and to multiply. And when they move in, home will never feel the same again. Ward Kunzel and his wife Ellen are searching for a new home with their son, Ward Jr.
I happened to just be driving by and I saw it and it was empty.
The family thinks they found the perfect place.
We probably spent 4 months looking for houses. We looked all over the area.
This was the house that kind of fit us.
The house has been vacant for several months, but that doesn't deter the family.
We love the old Victorian house. We really do. We like old stuff. I'd prefer an old car rather than a new car, you know?
The Kunzels close on the house and look forward to making it their own. Having now completed their move, the family settles into their new home. But they soon realize they're not alone in the house.
We hear this scratching noise, and it's when you're laying in bed at night and it's dark, you know, and you got this scratching noise above you in the ceiling in an old Victorian house, you know, it's spooky to start with.
After a few minutes, the noises stop. It's not long before the noises are back.
I'm hearing sounds all the time. I really didn't know what it was. I thought it was too loud for the mice. I just didn't know when one was actually going to come up beside me.
Ward has made a curious discovery. An air vent hangs dislodged in the hallway with signs of nesting.
I thought birds, you know, because it is an old Victorian house, and birds and stuff roost.
What's more, the air conditioning system in the house seems to have lost power.
So that's when I decided, well, I got to figure out what this is.
The AC system is powered in the attic.
It's an old, spidery, dark, dusty, musty, you know, it's just a nasty place.
Ward discovers something alarming.
We got, you know, 15 feet of wiring that's all stripped and bare. I don't know what this thing is, but they're eating the snot out of it. I hear noises over in the corner. I start looking around, and the closer I get, I start hearing this growling noise. I'm thinking demons, you know. Man, my house is demon-possessed, you know.
Ward has uncovered a nest of breeding squirrels.
It flipped me out. I was stunned.
Squirrels may seem cute and cuddly, but they can be incredibly territorial when breeding. Once they make it into your home, good luck evicting them.
The family calls an exterminator, but they find out that his hands are tied.
Solving a squirrel infestation problem is not always as easy as it seems. Local conservation laws in some areas prevent their extermination and make it illegal.
In Carthage, Missouri, breeding squirrels are protected.
I said, well, can we poison them, you know? And it's against the city ordinance, you can't poison them.
With no easy way to get rid of them, the family is now forced to share their home with the rodents.
There wasn't anything that was going to be able to be done. We were hearing noises all the time now.
They're just a rat with a fuzzy tail. I didn't know what to do. I was handcuffed.
As the squirrels continue to breed, the noises become a problem day and night.
We just hated squirrels. It was just, squirrels are evil.
Squirrels can carry a whole array of nasty diseases, ranging from tularemia to leptospirosis. People coming into close contact with squirrels run the risk of coming into contact with these nasty diseases as well.
And the squirrel's habit of chewing wires is a major fire risk.
I'm scared to death. This thing's a tinderbox. It's gonna go up, you know, it's gonna go poof, you know, and blow up.
500 miles east in Ridgetop, Tennessee, Mike Armistead has been attacked by a venomous intruder. He's receiving emergency treatment, but it may be too late.
I can't really describe the pain other than it was literally like it was on fire. He was talking about, you know, cutting the leg off.
Mike Armistead is a country musician who spends a lot of time on the road. So the family home he's lived in for 12 years is a treasured place.
It kind of has that rural feel to it, but yet you're only, 5-6 miles from an urban environment. And so I like to think it's the best of both worlds living here.
Mike's world revolves around his wife, Michelle, their 2 children, and his music.
Music to me is like breathing. If I don't have that music in my life, I really might as well not even be breathing.
With their kids getting older, Mike and Michelle have decided to convert their cluttered garage into an extra room.
We thought, well, we can close the garage door off. We were looking to maximize our space.
But it's going to be a big task. The garage hasn't been touched in years.
In order to turn this into a family room, we had to get rid of a lot of junk.
The job's going slowly because Michelle doesn't like what she's finding under the junk.
She gets animated really quick whenever she sees a bug.
I can't stand bugs. I can't even watch them on TV. I despise them.
So I took that project on my own. So it was a pretty day. I'm cleaning, got the door open, the windows open. And I pick up a bag. I just felt something kind of fall. But it was just like he bing, bounced off and he was gone. I actually stomped on him, killed him.
It's a spider, but Mike doesn't know what kind. A half hour later, Mike's arm begins to itch.
I look and it looks just like what a mosquito or a midge would do. It's just a little bitty red spot. And I didn't think a lot of it. The next day, it had gotten bigger.
Mike begins to suspect that the spider did more than fall on him.
And I thought, well, he bit me, you know? How did that happen? And so I got concerned at that point.
Mike takes another look at the dead spider.
Upon closer inspection, you could see that looks like a brown recluse.
Brown recluses are a venomous spider. They have very concentrated venom. For my money, it's the worst spider to be bitten by in the United States because there's no antidote and the effects can be fairly drastic.
I told my wife, I said, you know, I think I'll go have this looked at.
Mike tells the doctors that he's certain he knows what's done the damage.
The doctors, well, they took my word for it. Anybody could look at that and tell that it wasn't a mosquito bite.
The venom of the brown recluse spider has enzymes in it that cause something called necrosis. Necrosis is essentially a breakdown of the flesh. So the flesh will rot and die, can turn black or purple. You do not want to get bitten by a brown recluse spider.
Doctors pump Mike full of antibiotics and tell him he's lucky that the volume of venom in his arm is minimal.
You know, I thought about what would the outcome have been if he had have just really just latched on and bit into my arm.
The antibiotics do their job, and Mike gets on with the garage conversion.
It took about 2 weeks for it to really get back down to normal.
Mike picks up where he left off. But he soon discovers he has more company. The Kunzel's family home is infested with breeding squirrels. Having made themselves at home in the attic, they've already chewed through yards of electrical wiring and insulation.
We're talking thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Up to 30,000 fires every single year in the United States are suspected to be caused by squirrels and other rodents chewing on wiring in the house.
Aware of the fire hazard to his new home, Ward takes action. But with local conservation laws protecting the squirrels, it's getting rid of them that poses the biggest problem.
I don't want to break the law. I don't want to poison them. I don't want to hurt the environment. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff.
Ward is concerned his family is at risk and tries to get rid of the squirrels without killing them.
We tried putting electrical noisemakers, put some kind of frequency that human ear can't hear, but rodents can hear.
Ultrasonic noisemakers operate under the principle that they will emit a sound that's supposed to be so annoying to squirrels and other pest animals that they'll immediately leave your property.
The Kunzels go to bed, hopeful that the noisemakers will do their job.
It was just so frustrated. It was a war between me and the squirrels, and I couldn't get any help from anybody.
The noisemakers have proved to be no deterrent at all.
I just couldn't do anything. I was losing the battle. I was losing the battle.
The problem with ultrasonic noisemakers is that the sound that they make is not remotely irritating enough for a squirrel to want to give up its nest, its home, and its safety.
Desperate in their fight against the squirrels, the Kunzels scour the internet for solutions.
Man, I was willing to try anything. If somebody had told me that, if you'll stand on your head on the third Sunday of each month, it'll cure your problem, I was willing to try anything, man.
The family spends the entire day trimming every tree branch away from their house.
You have to stop the entrance. Close the door for them.
One of the first steps to reducing a squirrel infestation is to remove branches that might give them that crucial bridge that allows them access to your attic or crawl space.
The idea is to cut off the squirrel's route into the attic, forcing them to nest elsewhere. With no sign of the squirrels for several days, the family's efforts seem to have worked.
Finally, we were getting a little bit of an edge over the squirrels.
What in the world? I mean, that's bizarre. I got paws out of my vent.
Cutting back the trees hasn't worked.
The squirrel can jump approximately 20 feet. So sometimes getting rid of the branches isn't enough.
Worse still, droppings on the kitchen floor prove the squirrels have moved past the attic.
They're getting everywhere. It's growing. They're winning.
The squirrels are multiplying and spreading throughout the house.
Is this thing ever gonna end? Am I ever gonna get rid of these stinking squirrels?
Fearing he'll have to surrender his home to the squirrels, Ward writes a plea to the city for permission to start killing them.
We were scared, you know, when they started appearing in the house. I thought, man, I'm gonna have to sell the house, you know. I was starting to lose hope. I really was.
But there's now a more urgent problem. Ward Jr. has developed a mysterious swelling on his neck.
He was getting a double chin. It was kind of lopsided, you know.
Within hours, the swelling worsens, and Ward Jr. is rushed to the hospital.
It was growing to the point where he wasn't going to be able to breathe.
He'll now have to undergo emergency surgery to remove an infected gland.
Nobody wants their son operated on, you know.
As their son's life hangs in the balance, the Kunzel's house becomes completely overrun. In Okinawa, Japan, Lieutenant Colonel Chuck Gerard and his family are spending their first few days in their new home at the U.S. Marine Corps base. The house is everything they'd hoped for.
It was nice to have a big house with a yard. I love the house, I love the design, the layout of the house.
We were real happy. It was going to be a great opportunity to have some space and not have somebody living right next door that you could hear through a wall.
Their move coincides with a goodbye. In just 1 week, eldest daughter Lauren will be heading back to the U.S. to join a military academy.
I wasn't ready to say goodbye yet. It was a very emotional time.
The entire family is due to fly back with Lauren. But before they head off, Chuck has plans.
We were just going to have a big party. I think we were planning to have about 150 folks there over at the house. It was going to be a big barbecue, one last hurrah before, you know, getting Lauren back to the States.
There's a lot of unpacking to do. Sharon is feeling the pressure.
I got a week to completely put my house together and cook for all those people. And I wanted to spend time with my daughter. She's leaving me.
It was a pretty hectic week. It was a little nerve-wracking, probably more on Sharon than me.
I was focused on trying to get my house together. I kept seeing spots on the wall, and I'm thinking, oh, it's dirt, you know, just little specks. And I go to wipe it off, But as I went to touch it, all of a sudden the legs come out. Thinking, okay, you know, it's gotta be some type of a weird spider or a little bug or something, gnat, whatever, I don't know. Within 2-3 days, it started getting more intense, the amount of spots I was finding, and then I'd see something crawling on the floor.
Sharon points out the growing number of strange creatures to Chuck.
I thought it was just some kind of a local bug or something. Just kill it and be done with it. Wasn't really a priority. You know, we needed to get things done.
The next morning, evidence starts to mount of a hungry intruder inside the house.
I know I was getting bit by something because I had bite marks, I had blotches.
It was clearly a bite, you know, like a mosquito bite. Stuff can bite me, and it doesn't seem to bother me as much as most people, but her, forget it.
Sharon is now determined to prove to Chuck that the bugs are a bigger problem than he thinks.
By the time it took him to take a shower, I think I scooped up 30 of them off the floor in the bathroom.
I don't think I went to work that day. I think I called the office and said, "Look, I got a big time problem." You know, she's right.
The Gerards wonder if their dogs are carrying the bugs into the house and examine them for any signs.
I could feel the lumps in there, and it was like, oh no, the dog's infested with ticks.
Ticks are really the pests that nightmares are made of. They're gonna sit and wait for you to walk by. They're gonna latch onto you. They're gonna feed on your blood until they're about 600 times their own body weight.
They're relieved that they've identified the source of the problem and give the dogs a thorough scrubbing with flea and tick shampoo. Chuck mows the yard to remove any stragglers from the grass. Problem solved, the family continues to prepare for Lauren's going-away party.
Next day got busy again. I had to drive the house in order because we only had a short amount of time to do it. I just thought that the problem was just gonna be gone.
We were unpacking, everything's got to be unwrapped. They just started coming out of the woodwork.
It's now clear that the ticks aren't coming from the dogs. They're coming from the walls of the house.
They were everywhere.
In Carthage, Missouri, the Kunzel family is battling a major squirrel infestation. And now their problems have gotten even worse. 12-year-old Ward Jr. needs emergency surgery to remove an infection in his neck.
It was growing to the point where he wasn't going to be able to breathe.
He's been diagnosed with an infectious disease known as Bartonellosis, or more commonly, cat scratch disease.
Cat scratch disease travels through the lymph system. It can cause deeper infection into the liver, into the spleen, into the brain, into the eye, and cause body damage.
If left untreated, it can be deadly. When the infected gland is removed, Ward Jr. recovers and is released from the hospital. But the cause of his illness remains a mystery.
They said it was cat scratch fever, and they asked, well, do you have any pets? And we didn't have any pets.
I kept racking my brain trying to find a cat that could have done this.
I started researching, I got on the internet. I'm a internet junkie.
Cat scratch disease is caused by a bacteria. This bacteria has been isolated from a wide variety of animals, including cats, dogs, and rodents. One does not need to have contact with a cat to contract this disease.
Squirrels can carry the bacteria too. Somehow, Ward's son has been infected.
So now I'm mad. Not only am I frustrated that these squirrels are causing so much damage and stuff, but now my son could have died.
There's another blow. Ward has been denied permission from the city to kill the squirrels.
That broke my back. I was done at that point. I'm ready to start using nuclear war.
Ward launches a battle on his terms.
I'm gonna use poison. I have no other choice.
It's not long before the family begins to claim its victims.
It was just an ongoing war.
The fight continues for several weeks.
It was a hard decision that needed to be made to regain our house.
Finally, the infestation subsides. Ward Jr. makes a full recovery, and life begins to return to normal for the Kunzel family.
My son has a scar that will be there forever as a reminder to him as to what we had to go through.
95% of the squirrels are gone, okay? We really won. They don't own me like they did, and they did. They owned us for a while.
But there's no guarantee they won't be back.
We spend a lot of our lives making our homes safe, warm, and comfortable. And it's exactly these qualities that pests are attracted to. There's another world within your home that you know nothing about. There's plenty of places for creatures to breed and hide and multiply.
Back in Ridgetop, Tennessee, Mike Armistead has been bitten by a poisonous brown recluse spider. And after returning from the hospital, he's discovered that the dangerous arachnid wasn't alone.
I bought these bombs, kind of like a little mini nuke bomb for them. It was overkill, really. I think 2 would have done the job, but I thought, well, if 1 is good, then 4 would be better.
I just thought they would die, and then that'll be the end of it.
With no sign of the spiders for several weeks, life returns to normal.
It was like, it's good. I'm going back about my life, you know.
My first reaction was just put the iron on top of it. My first thought was, oh my gosh, it's a brown recluse.
The venomous brown recluse spiders have moved from the garage to inside the house.
I was seeing them more and more. It was alarming at how quick that come about and how bold they were getting to be.
Mike and Michelle are worried for their children.
If one of the kids would be messing around, rooting around in some closet or something, and they would get bit, you know, how it would affect them.
Children are really vulnerable to the bites of a brown recluse spider. The spider does not know who he's biting, and he will inject the same amount of venom whether it's a newborn baby or a 140-pound man.
The relative size of the children makes them far more vulnerable to the venom of a brown recluse. Mike decides to take action again.
I thought, well, it's about time to bomb.
What he doesn't realize is bug bombing the brown recluse is doomed to fail. The spiders can sense pesticide before it does them any harm.
Spiders have hairs all over their bodies that they smell with. Basically, what you can do is just drive the spiders from one part of the house into another. They're in a place where they don't like it, they go to a place where there's no pesticides.
Mike simply forced the spiders from the garage into the rest of the house. And they've been hiding inside the walls.
That's why infestations can get to very high numbers without, the occupants of the house knowing about it.
Now the population is exploding. As the family prepares to leave the house to avoid the toxic chemicals, Mike lays the last of the bug bombs.
I felt a sting.
Mike has been bitten for the second time. Lieutenant Colonel Chuck Gerard and his family are under attack from an army of blood-sucking ticks in their new military living quarters.
It was disgusting. I was starting to freak out because they were just coming up from everywhere.
These ticks, in fact, were, in the ceilings, in the walls. We were outraged over the fact that we were moved into quarters that was so infested.
Living on a U.S. Marine base in Japan, there's no telling what type of ticks these are.
There are over 800 species of ticks found worldwide, and many different ticks can behave in completely opposite fashions. And so it's very important to identify what tick species you're dealing with because it can drastically affect the control measures you're going to take.
With the ticks now spreading everywhere, the Gerards call for help. The Marine Corps dispatches a pair of entomologists to inspect the house.
They were in shock. They were shaking their heads in disbelief. They said it was the worst case of tick infestation they had ever seen.
The entomologists identify the bugs as brown dog ticks.
Brown dog ticks are not just a problem in Japan. We can find them right here in the United States. When people think about ticks, they usually think about ticks outside. But what makes brown dog ticks so unique is they can actually live, survive, and reproduce right in the comfort of your own home.
The entomologists take action, coating the house with pesticide.
I was pretty confident. I thought they did a really good job.
The house is covered in dead ticks. The pesticides seem to have worked.
They didn't die.
Many of the ticks have remained unscathed.
Research has indicated that brown dog ticks have built up a high level of resistance to many of the pesticides that we use today. This may be the reason why certain infestations can be difficult, if not impossible, to eliminate by just using pesticides.
Now desperate for solutions, Sharon calls her neighbors with some questions.
They all knew that this house was infested this way, but nobody warned us.
Before the Gerards moved in, the house was sitting empty for months. Nobody imagined the ticks could survive that long without fresh blood.
Ticks can go a long period of time without feeding, and they will just sit and wait for somebody to return to that home. But the minute somebody comes in and releases carbon dioxide and heat, those ticks are going to wake up and begin searching for food.
The Gerards and their dogs provide the feast the ticks have been waiting for.
The ticks that were there knew that there was a host somewhere around.
You feel constantly like your skin is crawling.
With the house still infested, the Gerards are forced to cancel their going away party for their daughter Lauren. Life is becoming unbearable.
We didn't know if we had ticks on us. You didn't want to go over somebody's house and spend the night. What if you brought something into somebody else's house? I mean, you didn't want to do it.
It's now time for the family to return to the U.S. to enroll Lauren in college. But fearing they might take the ticks with them, they leave without any luggage.
Basically, we ended up going with the shirts on our back.
We couldn't take anything with us. We had to rebuy everything. It was a very emotional, very difficult time.
While the family's away and the dogs are in kennels, the big guns come out. The Marine Corps launches an all-out strike on the ticks.
They just assured us that whatever they were going to use was going to do the trick this time.
And they guaranteed that nothing would be alive when we came back.
Chuck and Sharon return to a war zone.
There was dead stuff everywhere. This is a good sign. Maybe what they did worked.
But in the living room, there's a different story. The ticks are still alive.
It's like worse than before we left. It was so disgusting. They're literally just crawling over each other, the ticks.
Sorry, guys. You know, whatever you did while we were gone is not taking care of the problem. Entomologists came back over and they couldn't believe that they survived.
The dog ticks have proved to be an enemy too tough even for the U.S. military.
Due to the fact that brown dog ticks hide so well, when you apply pesticides, you need to apply pesticides to where they're actually hiding.
Inside the walls, many of the ticks were shielded from the chemicals.
Now they're trying to figure out what are they going to do to get rid of this mass infestation.
The entomologists have a weapon of last resort, a gas that can only be used with a special license. Phosphine is highly explosive and so toxic it will kill everything. It's only used in the most extreme cases.
We didn't care if they had to burn the house down. It didn't matter to us. We just wanted to get somewhere where we didn't have ticks.
In a nearby hotel, the Gerards can only sit and wait for the gas to do its job.
Is this ever going to end?
The next day, only Chuck is brave enough to see what the deadly gas has left behind.
You could see the ticks. They were definitely dead. You breathed on them and they weren't moving.
The final attack on the ticks has worked. But something's wrong.
We want to put our TV on. And it doesn't seem like anything's working.
Their electrical devices are fried. Many of their possessions are damaged.
Family photos were fused together. Videos of our daughters growing up just melted. Jewelry just fried together. Anything that was metal, copper, gold, silver, anything just completely corroded.
The highly toxic treatment has destroyed much more than the ticks.
Phosphine gas is an extreme way to treat for a brown dog tick infestation. Its use is restricted here in the United States, and you don't see people treating their homes for tick infestations using phosphine gas. It can also be flammable and corrosive to certain types of metals.
It's the final straw for the Gerards. With their belongings completely ruined, there's nothing left to stay for.
This was a living nightmare for us. We lost everything.
It's stuff that we can't recover. There's no way that you can ever get that back.
The family abandons the house and moves off the base. They paid a high price. The ticks are a force to be reckoned with.
Ticks have been around for 90 million years, and so you don't want to underestimate their capabilities. They're very small, but they can reproduce very fast, they can feed on blood, and they're going to find a way to survive because that is their one goal in life.
Back in Ridgetop, Tennessee, Mike Armistead has been bitten for the second time by a bug far more deadly than a tick. A dangerous brown recluse spider. Mike is prescribed another course of antibiotics and advised to rest. But he decides he's well enough to keep going.
So I thought, okay, well, I'll just take it easy, and hopefully those foggers will work and everything will be, normal.
While the family goes to stay with relatives to avoid the chemicals, Mike has other plans. Despite his injury, he's off to play a gig with his band, hundreds of miles away in West Virginia.
I figured, well, these antibiotics are working, and everything was working. I thought, well, this is not going to be as bad as it was before.
Mike is not a guy who complains a lot. He would probably be the kind of guy that would crack his ankle and think he could go to work until it was like, all right, it's broken, I can't go.
Confident that the drugs are working, Mike settles into the 8-hour journey to West Virginia.
I sat in one of the back seats, and I tried to keep my foot elevated,
Back at home, the enemy is undergoing a sustained attack. But it's a small consolation for Mike as his bite starts to throb.
I could feel it. I could feel it like starting to swell. I was starting to get a little anxious.
Finally, Mike and his band arrive at the bar.
Once we got there, I was really kind of alarmed because it wasn't a bruise anymore. It had already kind of opened up a little bit, and there was a really dark red area around it. They said, you need to go to the hospital like now. And I said, well, is 2 more hours gonna kill me?
Mike decides that the show must go on.
It started burning. And it wasn't like the first time where it was just kind of like an uncomfortable warmth. It started burning. It was like somebody had just taken a lighter and was just holding, or a candle, and just holding it in that one spot.
As he battles on, his enemies run riot back at home. The pesticide foggers are having no effect. In the bar, Mike is nearing the end.
I was like Elvis. I was gone. I was out of there in under 5 minutes.
He's taken straight to the hospital.
I can't really describe the pain other than it was literally like it was on fire. And there's nothing I could do. It hurt really bad.
At the hospital, the damage caused by the venom is spreading rapidly. The doctors fear it may be too late. They set up a critical test. If the venom spreads beyond their markers, they'll be forced to take drastic action.
If it went up, starting to get into the trunk of the body, then he was talking about, cutting the leg off.
It can cause severe rotting of the flesh, necrosis of the flesh, to the point where it's no longer salvageable. And in some cases, the only way to deal with it is by removal of the affected area.
There's nothing more doctors can do but wait. Back at the house, the spiders have once again managed to escape the bug bombs. With the family away, the spiders take over.
The thing about brown recluses in houses is they do seem to be hard to get rid of, especially when there's a lot of them. But it's just hard to get the pesticides into the place where the main mass of spiders is living.
As the spiders conquer the house, Mike endures days of agonizing uncertainty over his leg. The next morning, the doctor finally has some good news.
He said, I think your prayers paid off. We're just going to kind of monitor it, and then you can probably go home later on this afternoon. Those were the happiest 2 things I've ever heard in one day.
Mike counts his blessings. He's had a lucky escape.
Some people would say that that was a near miss. I would say that was a direct hit.
Mike and his family return home to see the house for the first time since the bug bombing.
They were everywhere.
Mike finally realizes it's a problem he can't solve on his own and hires an exterminator.
He said that there wasn't nothing that he had short of burning the house that was 100% foolproof.
When brown recluses are in your house, they are a formidable foe. They are going to be hard to get rid of. And people try over and over again using more and more pesticides, and spiders come back. They actually never left.
All Mike and his family can do is capture the brown recluses one by one, day by day.
I've wondered if I've beaten the spiders or if I'm just coexisting with them. I don't see them anymore, but that doesn't mean they're not around.